No, this is not my favorite list. This is, as objective as possible, the best rappers in K-pop as of, today. And now, you, hey, you, right there, I see you going down to the comments all ready to complain. Why isn't my favorite rapper here? They are easily the best because I love... Hold up on that comment. Hold up. Sit back. Go grab a snack. Go grab some chips. This is going to be a long video, so go grab like a piece of candy, sit on the couch, throw some TikTok up on your phone while you're listening to me, or have me in the background. Go take a plane ride somewhere. I don't know. But just sit back, relax, hear me out, because I have evidence, I have examples, I have everything to prove these points as objectively as possible. If you want to, put some counter arguments into the comments below, please do, but please don't let it just be a subjective. They're the best because they're the famous. Yeah. No, I'm trying to be as critical and analytical as possible talking about this. Now, in order to do that, it can't just be what I prefer in rap, because if it was just that, Changbin would be number one, and this would just be my favorites list, and I'd be like, oh, yay. Woo. We're not doing that. I have broken this down with a bunch of amazing people on my Discord community. Feel free to come join us if you want to be a part of a community like this. But shout out to Farhan, Chinsun. They did a lot of the rhyme schemes. Farhan's done a lot of the flows. Yura's done a lot of the flows. I Don't Give an Ugg's done a lot of flows. And we had Kip wanting to help out, but was too tired to. And one more shout out goes to Patty and Soups for throwing in some lyrical stuff for us. But with that being said, guys, I'm probably going to get copyrighted on this video since I'm showing you examples. Please, 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 please come join me on Patreon if you have the means to do so and want to support me. I would really appreciate it. Let's dive into honorable mentions.
I got 6 bullets in my tongue, 6 names in my lung, 6 shots got me feeling Tupac. So
by honorable mentions, I really mean people you could reasonably argue to be in this top 10. Mostly at like the 8, 9, 10 spots, but you could make a good argument, and I could concede of like, yeah, you could make a list and I wouldn't have a problem with it. RM, for example, if you have different, parameters for judging this, RM could definitely fit in here, and some lists should be in here. Yezi, right? Yezi could be on here. You have Mark and Taeyong. You could make, it would be really difficult, but you could make a case for them hitting number 10. I Am from Monsta X, BI, formerly of IKON, if you count him as K-pop, could definitely be here. Ravi, there's a few others that, you could make a reasonable case for, but yeah, those are a few honorable mentions I just wanted to give a quick shout out to. Like, I know they exist, they were definitely considered, they are definitely really, really effing good. Now let's dive into the top 10 and the parameters that I am setting here. We've been looking at flow schemes, delivery, as close as you can get to, rhyme schemes, lyricism, and yeah, wordplay in the lyricism, the types of delivery, and yeah, those are the main parameters we're looking at in the rapping. So we can go off and start with number 10. Soyeon is here because she is extremely talented. I know there's a lot of Soyeon hate out there for some reason. I don't know why, because she's actually really good. Now, you may not like her voice, you may not like her delivery, and that's okay. Again, none of these rappers have to be your favorite just because I'm saying that they're, in an objective way, some of the most skilled in K-pop. You cannot like her. She's extremely skilled. Here are 3 flow schemes I want to talk about real quick. I'm going to put them up on the screen. I don't know if I'm at the same time or one just covering my face each at a different time, but let's start with Queendom intro, because this is what her fastest rap is. No, it is not Bad B Number. Bad B Number is her fastest rap if you take it in a short time constant, but no other rapper's done in a short time constant in K-pop. And it's a perfect example to those people that go, but fastest doesn't mean it's good, are usually just saying that on anything that's fast and don't actually recognize when it's fast and good, because this Queendom intro rap is only done live, right? There is no actual studio audio for this, yet it lines up on the nose perfectly. First off, right? Amazing in and of itself, because some rappers struggle with that. But then you move on from that and just look at the actual flow itself. Look at this. It's just random 8th notes dotted in to 16th notes. Then you move the flow change into like broken up sextuplets with some 16th notes skirted in there a bit with an 8th note cadence. Flow change into some diddles, and then combine it all together back at the end, diddles into 16th notes. It's a fun flow. It's a really, really good flow that actually makes a lot of sense. And then you can even look at her newest release, right? This isn't just like stuff that she did 4 years ago. She's doing this stuff now this year. The Bulldog ad that she just did? Y'all familiar?
입에서 막 불이 나온 것 같아. 화난 거 아냐? I just look like that. 열난 것 같아. 왜 이래? 내가 멈출 것 같아.
That rap right there. She is individually manipulating the sound of that beat with her flow to make it sound like the beat is slowing down when it never does. It's really cool because there's more to flow than, just going fast, than just going slow, than just being the byproduct of the words. There's actual feel to it, and you can feel the actual song slow down because she is taking this flow, and you can see it right here. She's starting off with a shorter note, and she slowly makes it into a longer note, so it feels like it's slowing down when it's just her doing longer and longer rhythms. It's so cool. She is constantly manipulating this music theory stuff in her flows that no other female rapper in K-pop even attempts. Manipulating the sounds, the time signatures, all these different things that she does in her rapping, which easily deserves her a spot in this top 10. And while we're on the topic of flow schemes, let's just mention Bad B Number real quick. She's doing sextuplets broken up into 8th note triplets, right? So she's doing a sextuplet feel, but breaking it up into 8th note triplets while she's also rapping over a time signature change, by the way, kind of. She kind of cheats it a little bit, but she still has a 5/4 bar she's rapping on into a 4/4 bar, using sextuplets and 8th note triplets, which are broken up sextuplets, right? And kind of doing a similar thing she did in the Queendom intro, but instead of the Queendom intro being the climax with those sextuplets, it's the start, and then she moves more into this more broken up 16th, where she's putting more emphasis on the actual cadence and changing up the cadence and everything, and splicing in these 8th notes and everything. It's really cool. Most male rappers in K-pop don't do flows like this. It's so much fun to hear coming from her, and the hate that she gets, it's not fair. You cannot like her voice, but her flows are crazy. But let's talk about her voice real quick, because we're going to talk about her delivery too. The amount of delivery changes she can do, you listen to OMG, Dala Dala Dala, and KDA. None of those flows are insane, but they're some of her most iconic raps. Why? It's her delivery. Her delivery makes some of these raps, even when she's doing a more simple flow, she makes up for that more simple flow with these really insane deliveries, with Oh My God being such a memorable style from her, with these really drawn out notes.
Oh God, 어찌 저에게 이런 시험을 줬나요? It's a call for mail, can't stop. Then
you go to the Dala Dala Dala, which is an extremely basic 8th note flow at the very end with a simple cadence over top of it. But the way that she delivers it makes it actually interesting to listen to. It makes it extremely impressive. With a nice little rhyme scheme on top of there, but we're not gonna talk too much rhyme scheme with Soyeon. Let's do lyrics real quick. She actually has quite a bit of wordplay when she writes. Let's look at New Vision first, okay? In her verse, it's really subtle and I really love it, but she uses the sound I in 3 different, she uses the I sound in Korean, and then uses the I sound in English to mean a different thing, and then uses the I as an idol, as in a name, in 3 different ways. It's really cool. But then you look at something a little more complex. I'm going to put the screenshot right up here for our buddy Patty in the Discord sent this. These are the lyrics to Bad B Number. So I'll use Patty's words real quick because Patty can describe this better than I can. So shout out to Patty again. Patty said, so the song is Bad B Number, right? So the entire part is wordplay with numbers. So she's combining various meanings of the syllable mul with numbers to create different words. So excuse my Korean real quick, but you have one thing that's outdated is hanmul. Then you have 5 junk, gumul. And then you have like 5 waters, 5 things that are trash and garbage. And so she's combining these numbers with disses, which is like this really clever way to like hide the diss, but also have this really cool wordplay with the title of the song, which is about numbers, bad B number. And she's being the bad B by dissing with numbers. It's such cool wordplay that I don't think many people talk about outside of the Soyeon fans, because I barely even knew about this until Patty explained it to me, and I was like, what? I was there this whole time and I didn't realize. Like, it's some really cool stuff that Soyeon talks about. So there's our Soyeon segment. Let's move on to number 9. I told you guys I'm going in depth with these. My boy Jooheon. Now, if you've been on my channel for a hot minute, you know I've been aware of Jooheon since like 2015 when the channel started. He's always been our boy. We used to call him Shoo Shoo when we did reactions and stuff. So he's near and dear to my heart. I know he's Joohoney. I still call him Jooheon. Okay, I'm sorry. Whew, this boy, like, I'm gonna save the best for last. The best thing about Jooheon is delivery. He, oh my god, is one of the best delivery artists as a rapper in K-pop. But let's talk about the flow schemes first. We have 2 flow schemes I want to highlight right here and right here, which is Should I Do, which is one of his solos from a few years back, 2020, I believe, which is just a crazy long verse. And then one of his brand new verses, Hype Energy, both of which are constantly shifting flows. We can look at Should I Do, this extremely long one, right? We have offbeat triplets right here. But then you can look at a random other measure. It's just 16ths into 8th notes, slow down at 8th notes. Then he's going to do what we call Suga flow right here. Oh, and then he's going to go into another Suga flow here. Oh, but then we have actual pure diddles right here. Oh, and by the way, we have some 8th notes down here. Oh, we have some straight 16ths right here. There's so many. Oh, did I say straight triplets too? Like, there's so many different things that he's constantly doing to liven up the rap just through the way he is delivering the words in the flow. And you can look at Hype Energy too, right? If we pull up Hype Energy over my face right now, you can notice the same thing. If I zoom in right here, what do we have? Some gallopy, like gallops, what I call that kind of flow. Right? But then we zoom in right here, it's just straight 16s. That's what that would be. And then if you zoom in right here, you have some offbeat 8th note play. He's constantly changing the flows and what he's doing to make it more interesting, to make it always changing, to keep your mind guessing, what's coming next? And you're going to see that as a pattern moving forward. This isn't unique to Jooheon, but Jooheon is so good at it. He's so good at constantly changing the thing. But when he's not changing the flow is when he's actually shining, because that is when his delivery comes out. But again, we're going to hold off on that. Let's just talk about his rhyme scheme real quick, because if we pull up his rhyme scheme in IO that I want to show you guys real quick, look at this. This isn't unique to IO, by the way. This isn't the only rhyme scheme he does this in, but he is constantly, he's using the same 3 rhymes for the most part. He sneaks in a 4th one there to, like, you know, spice up the verse towards the end so it's not too repetitive. But he's using, look at, if you go by colors, the red rhyme, the pink rhyme, and the salmon rhyme. The salmon rhyme, you know, it's like a sandwich. It's at the very beginning and the very end, which I always love hearing in rhyme schemes. But the main thing is, like, look, he's doing multi-syllable rhymes within the verse. It's not ending on like a 3-syllable word, 3-syllable word, 3-syllable word, that all, like, 3-syllable words that rhyme, right? He's not ending on 3 syllables that rhyme. This is inside each bar. He is having 3 words that perfectly rhyme with each other but are different. And it goes into English too. Here's the example in English that you could think about, that what he's doing in Korean as the English version. Who's this rookie? Who these rookie? They rhyme right there, right? He's doing that, but in Korean, like 5, 6, 7 more times just within the same bar. It's so cool. It's so complex, and he does this all the time over many different verses too. It's just IO is one of the cool ones I wanted to point out to show you as an example of what he actually does in these verses. And then the part that I've been waiting to get into, this delivery, man. Oh my god, I gotta play the examples. This boy lives on delivery. He has got to have one of the most personality among rappers in K-pop. You can hear his voice, and it would literally sound like he's throwing up, like in Hype Energy. You literally listen to it, he's like, bleh, is the sound that he's making to deliver the word. But then at the same time, like, he'll have other verses I just need to play. Where he's making all of these extremely personified, I guess is the best word. Like you personify a non-living thing, personifying the words. Like he's giving them their own personalities with the way that he's manipulating his voice on top of the lyrics. Listen to these 4 songs back to back to back. I'm just gonna play like a couple bars. Gonna get demonetized, but fuck it. I want to show you guys how cool this is.
아직도 날 모르는 사람들에게 부도할게 내 속에 주헌 영어로 주헌이 내 줄목이는 Bringing 위기 Oh my god you're so hard 네가 던지는 미끼에 물어버렸어 Wow Kiss or death No kiss and death 난 너의 악당들을 모두 하나같이 뱅뱅뱅뱅 하늘을 슝슝 그냥 막 하늘을 날아다녀 슈퍼맨 너의 꼬리 위에 매달려 웃음 짓게 만들어 내게 뱀맨 너 후게 만드는 그 어떤 악당들이 이제는 싹 다 꺼지라 할게요 빨리 말해 내가 좋은 급한 놈이니까 너의 모든 걸 바래
Isn't that I don't know if you just listen to how he's delivering and all this personality going into it. It's one of the best. It's top 3 at the least among deliveries in K-pop. Let's move on to number 8, where we have the youngest person on this list at number 8. Jongseob of P1 Harmony. Now Jongseob, I can put this as simply as possible. This boy is the best rapper at playing with space in K-pop. He'll have this extremely little fast burst with like a long break and then another really fast like and it's so cool, and he does this all the time. Let's look at 2 of his flow schemes real quick. We can look at Mirror Mirror. Now this one, when you first look at it, it has the makings of this like very stereotypical flow. There's some gallops in there, and they have like all these different like, you know, positionings and everything. He's repeating the flow for the first 2 or 3 bars or so to get a repetition going. Then he changes it up into some 16ths, but he's adding in an 8th note pause right here. He's skipping the downbeat on measure 6. Oh no, there's a dotted 8th note into a quarter note rest. That was dramatic effect for no reason. And then skips the first 8th note into diddles with a gallop in between the diddles. It's just like, and then he skips the next beat 1, by the way. But it's like there's so much space where you would expect there to be raps, right? Where you would expect it to be on that beat 1, but he skips over it to, you know, deny your expectations, which makes it really cool. And you can also look at the heartbeat drum flow. So in Heartbeat Drum, again, he is mixing space. And I made a whole video in this song. He's constantly defying your expectations where you think he's going to hit the downbeat here, but he skips over it with the diddle. He runs over the 1. He keeps rapping into the next bar, but then he keeps rapping into the next bar, or he ends it early and then leaves over a quarter note of space where you think he's going to rap, and he's just not doing it because he is so good at defying your expectations when it comes to space in his raps. And specifically with Heartbeat Drum, I want to flow this into his lyricism a bit, because this is the one thing I want to talk about. Jongseob's lyricism is, bro, this song's called Heartbeat Drum, and he uses the flow to match what a heartbeat would sound like. I know it's not lyricism, maybe this goes to delivery, I guess, or I guess it's just flow writing, but this entire song is about like a heartbeat, right? What's a heartbeat? Boo 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 boo. So what's the closest rhythm when rapping to doing that? Da 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 da, right? A diddle. And this entire flow is made up of diddles running over the beat, doing a few 8th notes here and there. It's like you're skipping a heartbeat, but it's like mixing the rhythm of a drum with the heartbeat in the flow of a song called Heartbeat Drum, where the lyrics are about a heartbeat. It's so cool. It's so fun. It's such a fun flow for what the song is about, and I think it's so underrated. Now, granted, Jongseob is one of the only people on this list who hasn't had a true solo song yet. That's definitely holding him back. I can't see him going much higher without, like, this is pretty much as high as you could go without having a true solo, but hopefully we'll get that one day from P1 Harmony. It'll give Jongseob, you know, some room to expand. We can hear what he's got all on his own, but man, this kid is so young. He's what, 18, 19, something like that? And he's so good. And the last 2 things I want to talk about real quick, besides the flow, is if you look at the rhyme scheme of Look at Me Now. Now, if you remember what I talked about with Jooheon's I.O. in the previous little segment about Jooheon, you'll notice that Jongseob does nearly the same thing here. It's not as impressive. I think Jooheon's a much better rhymer at this point than Jongseob. Again, Jongseob's like, got 7 less years of experience than Jooheon, but you can look at this. He's rhyming like the 3 syllables in a row, doing the second rhyme and then going back to the original rhyme and then finishing, with the second rhyme in the first one. He does these 3 different main rhymes, as you can see in here, and it's so cool because you don't know where the rhyme's going to come from. It's like, yeah, everyone expects the rhyme to be at the end of the verse. I went into the door. I opened up the store. Right? You expect the rhyme to end. Door, store, to end each bar. He doesn't do that. Because he doesn't have to do that, because you can rhyme within the verse, and he knows that, and it is so much fun to hear. It's so much fun to listen to verses like that, and he does it so well. And Look at Me Now is a great example of how cool these rhyme schemes can be when you get super intricate inside, on purpose, inside of a single bar. But finally, we gotta talk about his live performances, because this kid's got 2 amazing live performances, right? I think this does some of the most for him. Rapping live on these 2 songs that aren't like official songs, Big 3 and Down Bad by P1 Harmony rap lines. It's so cool hearing him rap live, and the ability to consistently be able to do these spacious flows that I showed you while staying on beat live.
Oh wait, we are not shining, not falling. Got kino, don't see mochi, fight, body not calling. Yeah, stack it on, nine dash dope. Yeah, looking at the crown, take everything. Yeah, okay.
I just highly recommend going to check those out. Just search P1 Harmony Down Bad, P1 Harmony Big 3. You'll see what I'm talking about. The live performances, the breath control, the ability to stay in the rhythm that he wants while being able to make it sound purposeful, because it is, but make it sound like he's not like messing up live, is so clean. It's so nice. I need them to release these songs live, but whoo, Jongseob's got some bars, man. So yeah, shout out Jongseob. Number 8. Let's move on. Number 7. My boy Hanse. Unfortunately, he's not in Victon anymore. He's number 7, but I still got to include him. Now, how long does he stay on here? I guess if he keeps creating music as K-pop and as a K-pop idol and keep rapping in it, then yeah, he can stay in here. But if he goes into K-hip hop or just like, disappears off the face of the earth, we might, no longer count him as an idol, or maybe will. I don't know, but he is insane. He is the 1 or 2 people or 3 people maybe actually on this list, because everyone on here is really good. You go to a Victon song, right? If you listen for Hanse's rap, it is not going to match the song.
So fast nowadays 이세오캔의 심장 소리도 틱탁거리네 말 랩크던 브레인 빠짐없이 널 적어내 내 태도 백없이 현실이 대화를 했어 이쯤 되면 내 말이냐 말만 하면 이루어질 My kill this shit 매일 나가라고 하라 그래줘 남들에게 발빠르게 딴판이 판가는 순간 빠르게 것들이 밀어 느낌대로 탁들이 걸 멋들 두리번 거리지 우리끼리 볼달라 Get low where they get sick I can go 아파도 너일 거야 내가 선택을 love like virus 1분도 1초도 너를 떠나 홀린 듯 지금 길을 잃은 기분 No reason just show me your love 선택은 내 손에 결정이 된 그 모든 것은 난 made it Tell me what you like I can take you new places
And originally, like, you would think you'd hear that and go, what? That's not good. But at the same time, what's the biggest complaint people have? Oh, they're chasing the beats. They're just following the beat. No, Hanse literally makes the beat what he wants it to be. It literally intertwines the flow he does into the beat. It's so freaking cool. You can look at these 2 flows I'll put up on the screen right here. Chronograph and Stupid O'Clock. Go check out those 2 title tracks of K-pop songs, by the way, that have these insane flows in them. He will literally make a rap, and then they will go back into the production studio and redo the beat to better fit his rap, and then he will go back and redo the rap to then line up with the beat perfectly. It's so cool because his rap and the beat literally intertwine, and it's completely different from the rest of the song. And how he does that is just impressive. So shout out Chronograph at Stupid O'Clock. I'm realizing I'm taking 3 years to do this, guys. It's going to be a much longer video than I anticipated, so I'm going to speed through the rest of this. We can look at his rhyme scheme, and let's specifically talk about Stupid O'Clock, because Hanse's rhyme scheme is something that goes a bit unnoticed. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the completed rhyme scheme of Stupid O'Clock, but I just wanted to point out, again, the same thing I talked about with Jooheon, the same thing I talked about with Jongseob. Hanse's doing, he's probably on the similar level as Jooheon with these rhyme schemes. He is multi-syllable rhyming within the same verse. Not to the extent of Jooheon within the same verse, because he usually does the double ending, crazy, daily, maybe, baby, right? He's ending his bar with that same double syllable rhyme. And you look at the bottom, he's doing the same thing, but he's still throwing all these sub rhymes into the verse as well, where you can see that dark green right there, and you can see the extra orange at the very bottom too. He's throwing in all these different sub rhymes as well, and you can look at the rest of this and like you can line it up and everything. It's really cool to see the rhyme scheme like this, and you know, on the level of what I just showed with Jooheon, which is one of his best features as well, behind his delivery, of course. But one more thing I want to talk about with Hanse real quick are his lyrics. Look at this song Nightmare. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but check out the Victon song Nightmare. It's one of my low-key favorites that I barely ever talk about. Why? I don't know. You could go into the full translation, but the really fun part is the English part for me. It starts off the verse with these lyrics. Hello, baby, my name is Freddy frickin' Krueger, but don't call me a nightmare. This game's already over, so stay sober. Korean that I'm not going to try to pronounce. I'm going to be right there. So you look at the English version of that, right? He's using these, like, you know, pop culture, like, you know, horror references of Freddy frickin' Krueger and don't call me a nightmare. It's really easy wordplay, right? But I love hearing that. As a horror fan, I guess.
Hello baby, my name is Freddy freaking Krueger, but don't call me a nightmare. This game's ready, I was so stay sober. Don't 가기는 밤이니 I'm gonna be right there. I'm falling down as time goes by. 근데 가로막을 게 없다고 봤어 rather than.
Again, it's similar to Soyeon's wordplay on I at the beginning. Which is like, you know, it's not like the most mind-blowing thing in the world. I think it's pretty cool. I think this is pretty cool too. Hello baby, my name is Freddy freaking Krueger, but don't call me a nightmare. Like, oh, it's just so fun. I don't know. It's like, what other K-pop rapper raps about a freaking horror killer that kills people and does all these like messed up and then puts it into a little wordplay? My name is Freddy freaking Krueger, but don't call me a nightmare. Moving on. Let's move on to number 6. My favorite rapper, Changbin. If you guys have been on my channel for at least a day, you know I've been excited to talk about this. Hopefully I don't spend like 30 minutes talking about this, because I really shouldn't. I should be fair and use the same amount of time for Changbin as everyone else. So I'm just going to hold myself back a bit, and we're going to talk about these flows. Now, obviously, I'm going to start with Mirror Mirror. If you've probably seen this screenshot before. Oh my god, Mirror Mirror, the bunch of different flow changes. Look, this is probably slightly wrong. This is before I actually slowed down. There's a little bit off in this, and if I slowed it down, it's just like, it's extremely more complex, by the way. But it still gets the point across about just how many different flows he is going for in one verse, which is just crazy. The non-repetition going on in this verse, which I think to not dive into the same flow, but then flow change, and then flow change, and just doing that same flow over and over, I think is so cool. And he just, like, you know, goes 20 times changing flows, changing flow, changing flow, changing flow, changing flow, changing flow. And it's like almost like the entire thing is just one flow, because he doesn't just have one single flow. He has like a mesh of like 20 different flows combined together. It reminds me of what RM does in Cypher 2. Shout out RM in the honorable mentions, by the way, where he doesn't have just that one flow. He's constantly combining different combinations of 16th and 8th notes to where it's like, what, a 60 bar verse, and he almost doesn't repeat a single bar of rhythm. Is just wild. But, you know, I have a whole video on Mirror Mirror. Let's go into some other stuff I don't get to talk about as much. We got his verse in Hellevator. And now Hellevator is quite a bit different from Mirror Mirror, because if you listen to the two of them, Hellevator is a lot more repetitive. He is doing the same flow in quite a few bars. Which, again, we call Suga flow. I think I mentioned it with, I might have mentioned it with Jooheon. But we call it Suga flow. 8th note, 16-8, 16-8, with a cadence on the each 8th note. We call it Suga flow because Suga does it all the time. But Changbin makes it the baseline flow of what he does in Elevator and repeats it a bunch. He goes into some 16th notes. He goes out of the 16th notes into 8th notes. He has some diddles in there. It mixes it all together. But it's a very interesting, intricate flow, which really gives the rap a lot of life, especially when he ends up mixing those 16ths in, because the entire time he has this really choppy right? He has this really choppy flow throughout the majority of the first half. Then he hits the second half.
사람들은 내게 말해 그 정도의 고비는 지나가는 소나기라고 하나 없이 위로 가는 길은 절대 다신 뒤로 가기 싫은 막막한 미루야 피눈물 대신 피땀 흘리며 나를 빌어.
Then he ends with the choppy diddles again, which is another sandwich thing that Changbin does all the time, where he has the first flow, has a second flow, and then he goes back to that first flow, and sandwiches like a foreshadowing to the climax at the end with a very big crescendo in the middle of a super aggressive thing, which is what he does in Elevator, which is really cool. But then we can look at some other stuff, right? We can check out this newest thing with Fly High. And while by itself, Fly High isn't like, you know, the most impressive thing he's ever done. I could have picked like 20 different verses to showcase here. The main thing I want to say is Fly High, this little 4-bar part right here, is in the hook. He's rapping this in a hook, and yes, it's extremely fast. And if you spread this out to 8 bars, it's 8th notes into 16th notes with a few offbeat gallops in there, into some dotted 8th notes with random like diddles and like a random Suga flow in there. Yeah, he adds in again with a really cool offbeat 8th note triplet. It's just so many different things jam-packed into the hook of a song, and it sounds really good, at least to me. But I think it's really cool that he's able to put that into a hook and fit it into a hook. But if we're going to be really picky about flow, let's look at the song We Go. And now this flow scheme that you're seeing right here, while I do love the rhyme scheme of this verse, I love how much rhyming there is, and why I think it's an extremely strong suit of Changbin and everything. And I encourage you to listen to the rhyming and all the sub rhyming going on in here. It's very similar to Elevator, right? Lots of Suga flow, but on top of that, it's a lot of random 8th notes. It's basically mixed Elevator and Mirror Mirror together, like they had a baby, and you have We Go, and it's really dope. I just want to give that a little shout out, because the last thing with flow wise that I want to talk about Changbin and why he's number 6 is quintuplets. There's only, I believe, 5 rappers who can feature quintuplets in their verses that aren't K-pop rappers. Yechan is the newest of Psychers. RM's done it once. Suga's done it once. Hanse of Victon, who I talked about at number 7, has done it once. Changbin's done it 3 times. You can look at the Hey Monster live stage, which Chan confirmed, because I wasn't 100% sure if I was accurate, and Chan confirmed that it was a quintuplet on his live stream, right? You can look at Thunderous, quintuplet. But if you don't know what a quintuplet is, it's 5 syllables in 1 beat. So you got a beat, boo, boo, boo. And normally you do like 4 or 3 or 6. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 e into 2 e into 3 e into 4 e into be 16th, right? Quintuplets are so difficult because your body's muscle memory is so used to doing triplets or 16ths. When you put a 5th syllable in there, it's so hard not to just go to sextuplets. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. It's so difficult. I can't even do it, and I'm a drummer. I can't even do it on the drums half the time. I mean, then again, I'm not the best drummer in the world, but still, it's such a weird rhythm because barely anyone uses it. And I just love how often he's thrown quintuplets into his verses, and just to try to like make it interesting. It's so much fun. But the other cool part about Changbin that I want to talk about, we're not going to talk about rhyme scheme, we're not going to talk about lyrics, because I could point out a bunch of lyrics from his 3 Racha days especially. I could point out a bunch of rhyme schemes like We Go especially and stuff like that. I want to talk about his delivery. Back in the day, I say back in the day, a few years ago, the biggest knock I would say Changbin had was a very stagnant delivery, because recently he hasn't focusing on flow too much. It's been a lot more on that delivery, and you love to hear that because you can listen to Mirror Mirror in these parts right here, right? Those voice inflections, it's almost Lay1-esque of K-hip-hop if you've ever heard him. You listen to 3 Raja, same thing, voice inflections. And then you get Zone, and he already has this extremely unique, growly, aggressive delivery, right? He's got this really cool delivery. You listen to Zone, and he like goes with that, but like tenfold. He really dives into this like extremely aggressive and powerful delivery, which I kind of wish he would do even more nowadays. But like it's like there's so much variety now with his delivery when you listen to these three different songs. There's so many different things that he's doing with his voice, with his tone, with his breath to spice up a flow that he's doing. It's so much fun, and I could talk about Changbin for 10 more years, and I really want to, but if I let myself keep going, I'm going to go on for another 20 minutes, and I don't want this video to be an hour long. I hope it's not. So let's move in to Mr. Yoongi, number 5. Yo, what can't I talk about with Yoongi? Yoongi is at this position where he's literally so good at everything he does. Literally everything I'm talking about today, Yoongi can have an easy example to find. A flow scheme? Sure, let's talk about SDL, which I will in a second. Rhyme schemes? Yeah, let's talk about Cypher 4, Cypher 1. Oh, lyrics? Yeah, let's talk about The Last or First Love. Oh, delivery? Play the aggressiveness of Shadow. Then compare it to the whisper rap of Daechwita. And compare it to the auto-tune of Tear. Then compare it to the emotion of The Last. Oh, but then throw in Hagum for a nice, in-your-face, hard-hitting, enunciated aggression. That's crazy, isn't it? How many different deliveries I just did in what, like 10 or 15 seconds? Okay, maybe it's a little longer than that, but still, it's like so many different deliveries. But let's go up to the lyrics real quick. Honestly, like, what am I even going to say about the lyrics? Just go read them. There's an entire video of me having my friend Bryson read the lyrics of The Last and having him figure out what he means. And it was so emotional. The amount of emotion this man put into his lyrics from what he's feeling and to taking you on this journey, on this story. He's easily one of the best in K-pop at doing this. You can also look at First Love as well. You can just go look up these lyrics. I can put 2 screenshots right here, but just go read them for yourselves. Listen to these songs. Listen to his delivery while he's using these lyrics. It hits you. He has to be the best at this in K-pop. I know both these examples are from a while ago, but you know, if I had to pick a rapper in K-pop to give me the most emotion in lyrics, I don't know if there's anyone else I could pick but Yoongi. But enough of the sad emotion talk. Let's get into some schemes, and we could talk about the flow scheme, because the one I want to point out, Yoongi has a bunch of cool flows. We literally have an entire flow named after him because he does it so much, which is the Suga flow. When a rapper does that, that's a Suga flow. But Suga's like, you know, he's done so many different types of flows. He's done Heretaz, really fun flow. He does so many different types of flows, and the one I'm going to show you here is SDL. So the one that you're looking at is something I talked about if you watched my Soyeon video about a year ago on her song Dark X File. Yoongi did this in SDL, but kind of like to the extreme. It's really cool. What he's doing is he's mixing, it looks like triplets, and technically it is. He's mixing a shuffle feel, like how you'd shake a maraca. It's like shuffling the maraca, or I guess a maraca, or a shaker. That's what a shuffle is, right? So he's doing that as a bass, which you could write in the triplet form, because he's also doing straight, which is so he's ended up combining them, and he's combining the shuffle feel with the straight feel. He's doing these gallops like of a shuffle into the straight. It's just so much combining and blending and mixing. It is so much fun. And I first noticed this. He's done this a few other times. I first noticed it with Dark X File, and I freaked out about how cool it was when Soyeon did it. It's just as cool as when Yoongi does it. I'm gonna be real. I freaked out and made a whole video on Soyeon doing it, but you know, Yoongi deserves the that's why I'm highlighting it here. Yoongi deserves just as much praise for it, because he does it quite a bit and it's just as cool. Soyeon did it a little more like blendy wise, where she went from a shuffle to a straight and blended them together in the middle. whereas Yoongi just like has like a shuffle feel and then just throws a little bit of straight 16ths in there. So it's a little bit of a different mindset, but it's still really cool that they both end up doing it. And it's such I feel like it's a much more rare occurrence in K-pop than a lot of other flows are, and it's not the easiest thing to plan out, at least. And then finally, we could go into some rhyme schemes. And the rhyme schemes we want to point out with Yoongi, because he has a lot of really good ones, but, you know, some of the really fun ones we could talk about right here are Cypher Part 1. So if we look at Cypher Part 1 right here, this has potential to be one of the best rhyme schemes in a K-pop song, and not just by Yoongi, but like overall. This rhyme scheme is like what you'd see like a Western rapper, like if you know JID. This is what you would get out of Western hip hop. Some of the best lyricists would write with rhyme schemes. It's that complex. And I know a lot of people haven't heard Cypher 1. Cypher 1's kind of like that hidden gem type of song that you find out after Army for a year and you're like, oh yeah, Cypher 1 is a song. Let me go check that out. I want to go find it. One of the best rhyme schemes to exist in K-pop, in a K-pop song. I'm just saying. I mean, we're going to talk about MINO, who has some really good ones, but most of his really good ones are in K-hip hop songs. Yoongi blesses us with this in a K-pop song, like on a BTS song. One of the best rhyme schemes of K-pop. It's Chef's Kiss. We have Jisung, which might be as a surprise that I have him above Changbin, but yes, it is Jisung's time. Jisung, I know some people argue like, oh, Jisung's been focusing on vocals right now. He's been focusing on rap. How long have we said Jisung could sing for? Since like what, 2018? Everyone's like, oh my god, Jisung could be the main vocalist of Stray Kids. He's so good. Woo! Bro, he's been an amazing rapper too, and everyone's credited him as an amazing rapper, but man, he's been crazy these past 2 years. 2022, he went off with some like just amazing raps. Right? You look at Just Breathe, I Got It, if you count that for 2022, because that's when it was released. Muddy Water, Venom, Three Racha, Heyday, Run, so many really good verses. And let's just look at some rhyme schemes real quick, because rhyme schemes is a really crucial part to Jisung's thing, because one thing I always talk about is how smooth he is, especially when you compare him to Changbin. Changbin's a very rough rapper, right? He likes that aggressive roughness to his verses, and he's been adjusting that a little bit lately. Changbin's been going into the more smooth side as of late. But you listen to anything from Jisung, especially from 2 to 5 years ago, it's just so smooth no matter what flow he does. It just sounds like it's just a smooth, flowy river going down. Look at this rhyme scheme for Paint, right? This is the song he did on Kingdom 2, coming up with 3 years ago, right? Such a cool rhyme scheme. Again, you've seen me talk about the rhyme schemes at this point. It's so many different sub rhymes within a bar that's rhyming with the other sub rhymes above it, and then mixing in the two different sub rhymes. So he goes from that dark green to the light green, and then he goes from the dark green to the red, and then he goes from the dark green to the light blue, and then he goes from the light green again, but now with the yellow that he ended up teasing earlier with Vincent, and now he's doing Da Vinci. Really cool. The foreshadowing, Vincent, GIDLE, right? At the very top of Paint. And then at the bottom, he's doing Da Vinci, Lime. So many different complex sub-rhymes in this colorization, I guess, of the rhyme scheme right here. It's so interesting. And then you can also look at a rhyme scheme like Venom. First off, so many complex rhymes. When I say complex rhymes, I mean he's using alliteration in the consonants while rhyming the vowel in a sub-rhyme in the middle of the verse. There's so many different colors going on in this, right? Where they're all mixed together. Those are all complex multi-syllable rhymes. In that first bar, he has two different words that have the same triple rhyme scheme. Triple rhyme scheme, right? And then finishes with that fourth, that double rhyme, hey may, hey nay, right? It's so cool. And then you get in that middle part, it's just so many of the same sound. Such a cool verse of rhyme scheme, such a very complex rhyme scheme to show how cool rhyme scheme can be in K-pop songs. Jisung's got it for you, right? But then you go into some flow schemes, because he's not just a rhymer, he's a flow guy too. And you go back and you look at stuff from 3 Roger, like Start Line. And Plus Minus. And a few others, right? He has some really intricate flow schemes that you could like dive yourself into. But let's talk about 2 of the more recent ones. Obviously, I'm going to talk about I Got It, this insanely mind-fuckery of a song. Like, look at this first verse here of I Got It. This isn't even the quote-unquote fast part of the song that he does in the second part, which is probably the more popular part. Look at how many cool different rhythms he's doing. As I talked about earlier with Jongseob and I talked about earlier with Soyeon. Let's just highlight a random part, right? Triplets. And then you have this part, which is a 16th note displaced bar. Then you have this part with 2 dotted 16th notes in the bar. And then you have this part with a 16th note displaced with multiple dotted 16th notes with an 8th note cadence. Mind you, a 30-second note displaced. Excuse me saying 16th. That's a 30-second note displaced. It's crazy. And then he displaces it again with a 16th dotted 16th note. He's doing all this extreme offbeat stuff and I Got It, which is so mind-blowingly wild. Like, you can literally do an entire 2-hour video just deciphering every bar of I Got It for how cool this rap is. And it's easily one of the best raps of a K-pop idol, with ZICO's Know You Can, with MINO's Trigger, with Bobby's Rockstar and Bobby's You Mad. There's so many, like, you know, top tier examples that this belongs with because it's that good of a rap verse. But then you can also look at a more chill song, right? It's not just these aggressive verses that he's really good at rapping. You can look at the chill stuff like Run. Look at this one that came out this past year.
All the problems and a lot of things make me fool.
And this is extremely chill, but you have this like offbeat 8th note for like 6 8th notes in a row on this 4th bar into the song, right? Then you have, or into the verse, I should say, you have all these diddles that are almost randomly in there with a lot of just, you know, continuous 8th notes, a 16th note displaced off, so you're doing the E's and the U's on multiple occasions. Like, there's so many that he's just rapping with an offbeat 8th note, which is so cool because it's on this really chill verse too, where you don't really expect there to be anything too complex, and it's extremely complex, but you listen to it and it sounds simple. And that's like the best thing you can probably do, because it gets the people who love simple sounding raps on your side, but then it also just shows how good you are at making these really complex rhythms and complex flow schemes that Jisung's just gotten so good at. Now finally, another really good aspect of Jisung is his delivery, and specifically his versatility. This guy has so many different ways to deliver in a smooth way. You can look at Heyday, We Go, Zone, Runner's High. Listen to those 4 songs back to back to back to back. Listen to how different the delivery is.
찾아서 가고파 목을 것 없이 그냥 슬슬 찾아볼까 나 내 걸은 모션 풍겨 여유롭지 굳이 뛰기는 기기는 무슨 각을 없이 그냥 둘러보는 경치 서툰 우산 받아보면서 걸어 왼손에 아메리카노 완전 훌쩍하는 훌쩍던 나중 그냥 굽는 모습 여기 와서 에이 햇빛을 뿌려있는 배자석 에이 하나 더 느끼고 셰익스피어의 빅튀김이라도 나 gotta get there baby You already know that 나 다가만 세웠어 맞아 둘이만의 요소 다른 배경 패킬 수는 없잖아 그래서 이 양목을 지키는 거야 누가 뭐래도 I will always protect 매일이 전쟁하기 대기하는 공은 자세한 말 많은 옷에 픽처 내가 그린 그림 완성되지 않아도 태가 나 민기적거리는 엉덩이 들고 월 달려 마치 않은 슬라이드 성공도 보장되지 않은 길에 보험만 없이 냅다둬 뒤에서 조심스레 느껴진 압박감에 나 또 가면서
It's wild how versatile he is at delivering. He's a very similar way with Suga. It's not the same delivery, don't get me wrong, but he's very good at being versatile in his delivery, like Suga is. That's Jisung for you guys. Let's move in to number 3 of Bobby. Bobby is by far the only rapper in K-pop that cannot try and still make a better verse than nearly every other K-pop idol. It's crazy. He can literally go up there and have the most carefree, fun mindset, and it still be more complex than someone who's up there trying and trying. And it comes out in his delivery, because we're going to talk about his delivery first. It is extremely unique, and you can hear a shift in his delivery. If you go and listen back to when he won Show Me the Money 3, right? And I hate that Iconics always talk about he won Show Me the Money 3, he's the best rapper. Guys, there's so many other things I'm going to show you in this video that you don't need to talk about something that happened nearly 11 years ago, okay? Is it 11 years ago? It's coming up. No, it's 9 years ago. It's something like that. We don't need to talk about something that old. Let's talk about the here and now. Go back and listen to his delivery in YGGR, in Go, in Bounce. It is a super try-hard, in-your-face delivery. And it's still really good. He had this really good personality for his delivery. But then listen to something like what he does in the hook of Kingdom, It's One, Full Dash. Listen to what he's doing on this recent Rum Pum Pum and the new IKON, all Tintara. He has this very like unenunciated delivery with amazing breath control. I think that's the best way I could describe it. He stopped enunciating so much, which gives this really carefree style to his rap that K-pop idols just don't do. Because when they're training, training to be a rapper, right? They're taught to enunciate, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to be good at. To be a good rapper, you want to be really good at enunciating your syllables. And so every single K-pop rapper is very good at enunciating, some better than others. I think Lisa happens to be one of the best at enunciating her syllables. But you look at Bobby, he's the complete opposite. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't try. He doesn't care. He literally does not enunciate, and it's so fun. It's so refreshing. I don't know if it's going to go out of style. Maybe he'll end up changing his delivery again, but right now, he is extremely unique because he is the only K-pop rapper using unenunciated. It's not like mumble rap, right? He's not like mumbling. He's not going blah, 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 blah. It's not like he has like a jar of marbles in his mouth while he's trying to talk, where he's mumbling, right? It's more like he's just not like putting all of the consonants there. It's a much more free-form type of delivery. It's really cool.
어서 고개 끄덕이지 않고 밤이면 밤마다 오는 날이 아니잖소 오늘을 놓쳐서 후회한다면 후회한 시간에 후회할 거잖아 후회하기 싫은 후회할 일들을 후회하기 전에 후회 말아 Introduce hello my girlfriend to my girlfriend Bad and busy curvy 우리 내게 달라붙이 cocoa butter 내가 변했다고 해나들겠어 내가 바라던 바니까 바닥에서 챔피언 가지고 있다가 피드백에 이해하는 척하는 내 고개 끄덕이면 비트게만 어울려 소리 들어올려보죠 하늘을 걷긴 my wrong feeling way too cautious millionaire pompous I got 99 problems but they all want me Who's that who not dig up their graveyard 내 role 모델에게 물어봐 직진하는 중 견제비를 브롱브롱 위험해도 굳이 아직 화성으로 우리
He's not just a delivery guy. Well, I think he has one of the best deliveries personally. I would say he has one of the best deliveries, and it's kind of one of my favorites too. His flow schemes and rhyme schemes have some insane stuff. Let's look at the rhyme schemes real quick. Look at Rockstar.
난 절대 지지치지 않지 빌비기지 않지 확실히 지칠 때까지 손 비비지 않지 상식 버틴 간지 밥이 혼자 다 먹지 darling on me every night they miss me Mrs. Busy showing up 내 여친 정신 차려보니 옆에 없지 나한테 나보다 잘될 수가 없지 평일 없이 솔 퍼먹으니 그리고 열심히 했다네 내 반에 반도 안에 내가 볼 때 너 빼고 다 잘 됐지 눈 감는 게 차라리 발전인 미래 아무도 안
Did you see that? Nearly every single syllable rhymed with another syllable within like 3 words of it. Every single one. Every single one. There's like 3 syllables in the first like 4 bars that don't have a direct correlation to another syllable of it rhyming while being multi-complex. Like I've talked about with every other rapper. Rockstar has to be one of the best rhyme schemes in K-pop. I know I said that with Suga's Cypher 1. Honestly, I would say Rockstar would be I would say is the best rhyme scheme to ever grace K-pop. It is so complex. It is so detailed. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, there's not too much else to say on that. I just show you how cool it is because look at all the different colors. Look at the colors. That's what it means to be a code rhyme scheme. No, genuinely, there's so many cool multi-syllable rhymes and so many different syllables that are rhyming with other syllables within close proximity to each other. It's just wild. But let's check out those flow schemes from his most recent full album of Lucky Man back at the very beginning of, what was it, 2020 or 2021? One of those 2 years. Lucky Man dropped with these 2 amazing flow schemes right here. Let me show you the You Mad flow scheme. So in this You Mad verse, especially verse 1, right? He's doing a what we call a 6/8 feel on the rap. He's making it feel like it's a 6/8 verse. It's a triplet, but instead of doing the typical triplet accent of every 30 notes or 3 syllables, you accent, he's doing it every other syllable, which gives it like the 6/8 feel. If you don't know what that means in music terms, just say, it's pretty damn cool. JID, a rapper that I really love in Western hip hop, he's probably my favorite Western hip hop rapper. He does this a lot, right?
Don't compare me to no other niggas in the city, boy, they say they fucking with you. Heebie-jeebie, that's a bit disgusting, but
where he's rapping triplets, but he's accenting every other one, so it doesn't feel like triplets. It feels like he's rapping in a different time signature, which is really cool. Bobby's doing that a lot lately, and it's really cool that he did a Lucky Man. But then he goes into the diddles, and then he goes into these eighth or triplets, and then he goes into these really like weird offbeats, eighth notes. He's doing all these different things, and then he goes back to that 6/8 feel at the very end. It's so many things that he's doing on You Mad, which makes it one of the best flows to ever grace K-pop in itself. But you can also look at the flows of In the Dark, right? Remember what I said about a 6/8 feel before? He's doing, what is this, like a 12/16 feel? Yeah, I wouldn't call it that. He's basically doing the same thing, but over sextuplets down. Where it's like almost double the speed of the 6/8 feel I was doing earlier. But on top of that, this is a sing-rappy verse. Listen to this. Sing rapping through this and doing these super complex like shuffly feels of these like eighth note triplets that have like the middle bit cut out, which is like almost like a shuffle type of feel. That he's doing all these different like, you know, spacings with these sextuplets and doing all these different accents with the sextuplets like I mentioned in the thing, and then he has a random dotted eighth note in there. And then he ends on the shuffle again with a random 16th note, straight 16th note in there. It's so wild that he's doing all of this with 30-second notes as well while sing rapping. This isn't even his normal unenunciated rapping. This is just straight up sing rapping with these complex flows, which makes it that much cooler, in my opinion, that you're doing sing rapping with complex flows. Like, who does that? Who does that? But that brings us to our number 2 slot, where we have Mr. MINO of Winner. I still say his name in 3 different ways all the time. Okay, Mr. MINO, jack of all trades, so good. If you look at my videos from like 3 or 4 years ago, I was so low on MINO. And he has come so high. The more I'm like learning about rap, because you're constantly learning new things and everything, and I do too. Like, I know a lot more right now than I did 4 or 5 years ago when I first started analyzing the rap and K-pop. And man, MINO's just one of the rappers who has gained the most respect for me, mainly because the recent verses, like the past 4 or 5 years, he's also like taken a step up from what he was doing on Show Me the Money 4, but. Like, let's just look at lyrically real quick. Let's look at Trigger. Remember when I was talking about Soyeon earlier with these really cool word plays and rhyme schemes? I'm going to put this up on the screen. Give this a quick read real quick. Like, isn't this cool? Look how much wordplay is in this verse on Trigger. Not to mention that I'm going to spoil this. Trigger has an insanely good flow that we're not going to look at too, because I want to talk about other songs than just Trigger, because Trigger's just a really good verse overall. Insane flow scheme on Trigger, but lyrically, there's so much wordplay going on in this one rap from a K-pop rapper. Then again, he's been like, welcomed into the K-hip hop scene. He's judged Show Me the Money and stuff, but man, this man is just crazy with some of this wordplay that he does. And then you can even look at some like wordplay in the song Hop In, because this kind of goes into the rhyme scheme too. There's a rhyme scheme that not many people as much talk about, which is alliteration. The rhyming, the consonant sound at the beginning of a word. You might hear it in your English class in high school. Alliteration, right? Again, insane flow scheme. But while he's doing that, it's in English, by the way. Paradise is a paracosm, no paradox, just paranoid. Paracetamols, pyroupsa, just paracosm is paramount. He has one Korean word in there. And then new paradigm, we spat it out. into the cool rhyme scheme. But bro, that's like 2 straight bars of multi-syllable P-sounding words that make sense together. And that's why it fits in lyrically. There's so many big freaking words that fit together. These aren't random words. They actually make sense. Post-editing Matt here to explain this in actual detail for you guys so you don't have to look up the definitions on your own. Here's the lyrics again. Just read along and I'm going to explain what each word means in like very simple but many words and tell you the overall vibe of these first things, at least how I interpret it as a non-lyricist. Ready? Your ideal world is a childlike imagination. It's not contradictory, just unreasonably suspicious. Drugs, I don't need them. This childlike imaginary world is the most important, and then, meaning to get to. New standard of life or pattern. This word also means like linguistic choices that can be used together. We spat it out. Literally linguistically spitting out the linguistic choices, but then also this new pattern that he's talking about. Go look up the definitions. These words make sense together, and it's so cool. Lyrically, it's so cool. Rhyme scheme is so cool, and this rap is so cool. Paradise is a paracosm, no paradox, just paranoid. Paracetamol is like that little delay there. Oh! Anyways, I need to move on. We got some rhyme scheme. So here's a quick screenshot of his rhyme scheme and family. Go watch the rest of the video where if you skipped to the MINO part, I am so sorry. I've literally explained this 10 times. He's doing the same thing I mentioned with Jooheon and Jisung. So many sub rhymes, so many multi-syllable rhymes while, slowly transitioning the rhyme scheme while keeping the same base of that orange you see. That orange rhyme is that same base that he's keeping throughout. It's such a cool rhyme scheme to show you cool colors, right? Let's also look at Sad Walk. Now look at this. It's less the amount of colors and more just quantity. There's a dark green, a light green. I know it's hard to tell the difference. I'm really sorry for colorblind. I did not choose the color for this. Light blue, light green, dark green, yellow, right? So many different. There's like 4 different rhymes, and they're the same 4 rhymes used without. Look at the first bar right here. Light green, blue, dark green, light green, blue, yellow, yellow, light green, blue, right? But then at the same spot, that third syllable in that second bar, dark green again. The same spot. Oh, and by the way, the next bar, the same spot, dark green. It's so complex because he's thinking not only about rhyming at the end of the word, not only about rhyming the last 2 syllables at the end of the word, not only about rhyming the sub rhymes in there, all the middle words are rhyming together. He's also rhyming across the bar. Every 3rd syllable of each bar rhymes. Just what? Now, flow scheme wise, I got 2K hip hop things for you here. Now, we could talk about, there's a lot of winter verses that we could go over, like specifically Family, for example. But I already showed the rhyme scheme of Family. Let's go to some of his K hip hop stuff where we can show you Jumper. Has so many unique flows in it. Look at this first part. He is going from this 16ths into offbeat 8ths, 16th, offbeat 8th, 16th, offbeat 8th. He's doing that kind of pattern, right? And then he moves into this more of a sextuplets, which he's very good at. He is like the most common K-pop idol to use sextuplets in his flows. He does it all the time. You can think of like Runaway, right? That super fast part. Sextuplets. Name any MINO rap, it probably uses sextuplets. He loves sextuplets. But then you have a sextuplet part right here with some 30-second notes spliced in. And oh, by the way, a random 8th note in that sextuplet. And then he goes into this really weird offbeat, like dotted 16th, 8th note, 30-second note. Then 16th, dotted 16th, 8th note, 32nd note flow. I don't even know what to call that. I've never seen that before besides this verse. And then look at this. He has dotted 16ths. To like go into this, like he goes from that weird flow I've never seen before into dotted 16ths that go over the bar, back into that really weird flow that he does 3 times in a row consistently, which is an extremely particular flow that he's doing consistently, then back into what he did at the beginning of the verse, which is that like gallopy 8th note to 16th note stuff, and then back into those dotted 16th notes, over the bar, into the end, that he finishes with that exact same flow of the dotted 16th, 8th note, 32nd. Now, on top of that, we also have City Plus Plus Plus, which came out last year. And we went from dotted 16th notes to, well, more dotted 16th notes, as you can see in here, plus some displaced 16th notes in almost like every bar. He starts displaced. So much displacement, which means that he's rapping on the upbeats. I'm gonna say upbeats. You could also say offbeats, but a lot of people don't know what offbeat means. So he's rapping on the upbeats, right? And it's like just perfectly aligned with dotted 16ths. It is so complex, man. It's crazy. And this is all just within the last year or two, which is why I put him over Bobby. If you watch my previous list, I always had Bobby at number 2. MINO's overtaken him recently. Bobby's going on a much more chill style, which I adore. But MINO's skill is just unmatched. He might even, overtake ZICO one day. You never know, because ZICO is number 1. Surprise. Bro, that song's No You Can't. What he's doing there is this extremely complex, like, I think it's a little off in this transcription I have right here. Yura. This is such a long verse, and look how many different flows he's spicing this up so you never get bored. He has some triplets in there. He has some offbeat triplets right here. He has some 16th notes. He has some, that 6/8 feel I mentioned earlier. Oh yeah. ZICO does that too, and No You Can't. He has that part that I just played for you right here. I think it's a little more complex than what it's written as, personally, because it's not on B1. But still, it's still complex here. I just think it's a little more complex than what's written. Oh, by the way, he's displacing a 16th note that I mentioned MINO does. Oh, by the way, here's some plain-ass 8th notes. Which actually make the 8th notes sound really cool when you get to them, because he hadn't based this flow in 8th notes that the 8th notes sound complex, because you're so used to the complex notes that he's doing before. When he finally goes to the da 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 da, it sounds like he's doing something complex, but that's what making simple sound complex, like the opposite of making sound complex sound simple. It's so really cool. And then he's got like some dotted 8th note parts here. He's got like a little bit of a repetition flow here. He's got some more basic triplets again. This verse is just mind-blowingly the best verse by any K-pop idol ever. It's a lot more difficult to say that nowadays with some of the stuff MINO and Jisung and some other idols are doing, but man, No You Can't is so good. You can also look at flow schemes that I'm going to play for you real quick. Like, check out this flow in No Joke. And check out this flow in Extreme. Both still extremely impressive flows. It's like, I showed you the best flow in K-pop. It's like they're not going to match up to No You Can't, but they're still really fucking cool, right? You can also look at his rhyme scheme, right? And I could just show you this. I've explained rhyme schemes like a bunch. Here you go. Look how many different colors are all right next to each other doing multi-syllable rhymes. And like there's so many complex rhyme schemes ZICO is doing. There's so many complex flows at the same time. That rhyme scheme is from No Joke, the same flow that I just showed you earlier. Not No You Can't, but the second one I showed you. And then you even have lyricism, right? He even has some cool word plays in like No You Can't, where he's doing that in the best flow in K-pop. He has some fun word plays in there too. It's not just rhythm, it's really cool lyrics like right here. And he also has some really fun lyricism in Rindamon, which is a feature on Pen and Meko's recent album. But man, like all these examples I gave, No Joke is from like 2013, right? Everything else is from 2019 or more recent. That's how insane ZICO was. Like, I can show you stuff from 2015. I can show you Tough Cookie. I can show you Okie Dokie. I can show you a bunch of super popular, like really good raps, like all the stuff they did with Fancy Child from like the middle to late teens. But he's still doing more and more complex stuff further in his career. That's why he's number 1. He's still improving. He's still getting better. He is still like doing all these things and doing it better than what he did 10 years ago, doing it better than what he did 5 years ago, and adding all of these new things that we didn't even think were possible 2 years ago, he is now doing. It's extremely impressive, and ZICO is number 1 by, I don't want to say a mile anymore, because MINO's catching up a little bit with the stuff that he's doing, but ZICO's easily number 1 for me still. And I think objectively looking, when you look at the flows, you look at the rhymes, look at the lyrics, I didn't even talk about ZICO's delivery, because he can do a bunch of different deliveries too, but that's, some people may have a problem with him personally. I'm not saying you have to like him, but the man can rap, and he's the best K-pop idol rapper in September of 2023. So I hope you guys enjoyed this super long video breaking down everything. I hope all the examples and evidence I provided in the video with the explanations help it make sense. And I hope that if you want to comment down below, you'll put some insight in there to help me, either learn something I didn't know or provide examples for yourself to show reasonings of why you think rappers should be in here. I'm eager to read some of the comments. So thank you all for joining me. Please, if you have the means to do so, please support me on Patreon. I'm not going to make anything off of this video. And how long this video is, it's like 3 times as long in the raw footage. If you have the means to support me, I'd really appreciate it on Patreon. Come join our community on Discord, which is the free version of supporting me and making your community grow bigger. I do appreciate that as well. And shout out to everyone who helped me make this video. Chinsun, check out their channel for rhyme schemes in K-pop. Farhan, check out their channel in the description for flows and rhyme schemes. I Don't Give an Ugg doesn't have a YouTube channel to my knowledge, but shout out to I Don't Give an Ugg for mostly the Suga stuff, actually. They're a huge Suga fan if you couldn't tell. Patty for the lyricism stuff, and also Soups for some of the lyricism stuff. And also Yura for Yura's channels down below for a lot of flows for K-hip-hop and K-pop and stuff that I don't have time to do. Yura does a lot of them, so go check out their channels. They're all linked in the description. Thank you so much for helping me gather this information and creating some of these flows, helping us discuss it all. And of course, this video is made possible, as I mentioned, by Patreon. So let's do some final shout outs for my Patreons. Hey, if you want to be on this list one day, like I said, just as little as $2 a month, you can get your name on this list, or $5, get it shouted out by me every single main video I make. So here we go. Every single Patreon currently in my Patreon. Shout outs to Swiss, Penguin, Laura Fernandez, Pixel, Arston, Dorothy, Griffin Chiavo, Muse Ribbon, Sayway, Zakane, Ashlyn Githens, Austin, Caitlin Gervin, Farhan, Fleur, Fred Earth, Hannah, Kind Jeanette Brendan, Natalie Krasinska, Novalites, Premislaw Polinsky, Rai, Stray Kids Tima, Valtini, and Vanny Yan. Thank you all so much, and shout out to all the VOD tier people too. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!